Welcome back to Coffee and Consciousness. Bella's eating my fingers. Thank you for your patience as I'm working my way through figuring out exactly what this show is going to be and exactly what I want to talk about. And there's so much that I want to do, so much that I want to get into, and I'm not exactly sure where to start, where to go, and how to proceed. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your patience. I'm wanting to get into this conversation with you. So please comment and please ask questions, and I will be happy to research them or look at them and kind of use them as some guidelines for the show. So sit back, grab your cup of coffee, and let's get on with another episode of Coffee and Consciousness. I want to start off today by just acknowledging that I am not an expert in animal consciousness or even human consciousness for that matter. I am simply a woman who is learning about myself, learning about my own consciousness, the depths of my consciousness. And as I learn about that and I learn about myself, I'm intrigued about the animals that surround me. And because I have so many animals on my urban farm here, I get to be in contact with them a lot throughout my daily life. And I discover things along the way, and they act certain ways in different times. And I'm just so curious about how things happen and why things happen. And I would just like to learn more about that and learn more about how these animals operate, how they think, and explore it from the perspective that, is it possible? Could it be that there are more to these animals than just flesh and bones? Perhaps they too have consciousness, and perhaps they too have a soul. So that is part of why I am filming these episodes of Coffee and Consciousness. Now, I don't just want to talk about animals, and I don't just want to discuss their levels of consciousness. I want to really get into humanity. I want to get into where we are in our pursuit of consciousness. I want to learn more about why people seek higher knowing, how people seek higher knowing, and as much as possible, I feel called to, and I would like to participate in helping people discover their higher consciousness, which I feel is just another way of saying ascension. So, if we can back up here for just a moment, let me tell you that I understand all of this desire, all of these goals is a pretty high bar. It's asking a lot. And let me tell you that I was once told that I set my goals too high and that I would always fail. And you know what? Maybe I do, maybe I will, but I am going to try, and I am going to take this path, and I am going to ascend as far as I can ascend, reach my goals as high as I can reach my goals, and I'm going to enjoy the journey along the way. And that I have found, as I am doing that, is making me a stronger happier human, and there is nothing that can be better than that for my soul right now. As I delve into this learning of higher knowledge, I find myself choosing to free my mind from what I have perceived as the chains that have held me to a lower level of consciousness, if you will. I find that I am wanting to free myself from the programs that have been placed in my mind knowingly or unknowingly through society, through structures of power and means that try to govern and control our world that we live in today. I believe that people are changing. I believe that there are truths that have been hidden from humanity that are being revealed and soon to be revealed. And I feel like we're all going to be wanting to come to this table and have these conversations, if not now, today, then very, very soon. And I would love for this platform and for this coffee table at Zinnia's Way to be a safe place for people to come and explore and ask questions and maybe even get hard answers, but to discover a deeper truth that does lie within our reach. One of the first places that you can start is by simply saying it's all about energy, right? It's about choosing love over fear. Now, I have my little book because you know I love books and I've got my markers and everything in it, but this is a book by David R. Hawkins, Dr. David R. Hawkins, and The Map of Consciousness Explained. Now, this is a great book because it talks about those levels of consciousness, which are, to say, as he describes them, levels of energy or energetic states of being. The lowest level of consciousness, as David Hawkins puts it, is shame. That ranks in at an energy level 20. That is followed closely by guilt, and that ranks in at energy level number 30. Now, where we are, as we are on this ascension path, I would like to say perhaps is going up to energy level 200, which is the level of courage. And we work our way up to level 310, which is the level of willingness. And it goes on, and I would encourage you, we'll be talking about these levels from time to time as need be, but I encourage you, if this is interesting to you, to grab a copy of this book and read through it. It is very very eye-opening, and especially when you consider that so many of our power structures that have been devised and put into place around us on this planet focus on keeping humanity functioning in the levels of shame and guilt. Look at the church. Now, Christ was beautiful. Christ consciousness is what we are seeking to achieve. But through the church and the powers that be, this power has corrupted, and this power has been corrupt, and it has been used, in my opinion, it has been used against humanity and has kept us from achieving our highest and greatest good for eons, centuries, if not eons. So, how can we move forward and how can we break out of that? Well, we'll talk about that. And one of the things that we can do is, again, to put our focus on love and forgiveness. And this takes practice and practice, but it can be achieved, especially with the help of others, and with a tribe and with like-minded people. It can be easier to have conversations and to come to understand why we should seek to love and overcome fear. I'd like to take just a couple minutes to read from the Map of Consciousness Explained. There are some questions that people have asked, and it can get us started in the conversation. These are a couple of good questions, I think, and it'll get us started on this path, on this journey, and get us started in this conversation, and maybe help you come up with questions of your own that you're wondering about as we're progressing through this process. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to read is it normal for a person to feel like they go up and down the entire map? He answers, most spiritual seekers go through a variety of stages that may range from despair to joy or even ecstasy. There are also long periods where nothing seems to be happening, and you may feel like you aren't getting anywhere. These are interspersed with periods of what seem like stagnation, frustration, self-blame, and even hopelessness. All of these periods within the overall process are normal. Perseverance and dedication carry you through. The way is easier if a true teacher or a dedicated group is available. You will also discover that love brings up opposites, so that the very intention to become unconditionally loving presents the obstacles that you will need to transcend. That is, jealousy, resentment, impatience, and so forth. Love and peace are the greatest threats to the ego, which defends itself by resorting to entrenched positionalities that lie hidden in the unconscious. These non-loving attitudes arose in childhood from the biologic, survival-oriented animal brain and were forced underground by parental and societal pressures via the well-known psychological mechanisms of repression, denial, suppression, reaction formation, projection, and rationalization. C.G. Jung created the word shadow to refer to rejected parts of the personality that need to be acknowledged and worked with in the process of psychological development. It can be disturbing when these negativities erupt from the unconscious just when you are aspiring to become more loving. You can expect to encounter them as a consequence of your commitment to evolve. Unknown to the aspirant is the past karma, which is also an influential factor. Hence, you cannot compare yourself to others as to timing and details of experience. As you rise on the map and have access to greater energy, it is possible that you earn the right to bring up and clear out negative karma. And thus, there may be periods of financial difficulty, illness, and other unforeseeable challenges. What seems like a setback, therefore, is actually an opportunity to evolve. So we will be getting into more of those topics in future episodes as we go along, like the shadow, like the ego, like karma. And again, I would love to have your questions that we could specifically springboard from to really have some good conversations here on these topics. The next question that I'd like to read to you and read Dr. Hawkins' answer is, question: what is the best way to raise one's consciousness? Answer: constancy. Effective spiritual endeavor is a consequence of constancy and persistence rather than fits and starts of enthusiasm. Each state of spiritual evolution is self-rewarding, gratifying, and complete unto itself. The moment of prior anguish are found to have been worth the effort. And humility. Great leaps in levels of consciousness are always preceded by surrender of the illusion that I know. Thus, you have to be willing to let go of secretly thinking I know and to say, I don't know. Frequently, the only way a person reaches this willingness to change is when they hit bottom. That is, by running out a course of action to its end in the defeat of a futile belief system. Light cannot enter a closed box. The upside of catastrophe can be an opening to a higher level of awareness. If life is viewed as a teacher, then it becomes just that. Unless the painful lessons of life are transformed through humility into gateways of growth and development, they are wasted. And let me just stop here to say, I've learned so much about the fits and the starts and the going and the stopping and the going and the stopping, and just, you fall down, you get back up, you fall down, you get back up. Do I know everything? Haha, no. And I'm learning, and that's why I am so excited to be here, because I'm finally understanding that there is so much to learn, and I'm so excited, and I just want to be learning all the time, but I have a lot of things here to do. But it is a journey, and anyway, so I'm here, and I'm so happy and so excited to be here after having a lot of these bottom moments, some peak moments as well, which sometime perhaps I can share more of my story of my spiritual awakening experience. I am not saying that I am awakened, but I am awakening, and I've had throughout the past 30 years multiple experiences, again, that I'd love to share with you sometime. Today's not the day to get into all of that, but just suffice it to say, there were some hitting bottom moments that came along with all of that, along with the good stuff. So I'd like to read one more question today from the Map of Consciousness Explained. And the question is, you have said that just the act of consciousness calibration changes the calibration of something by virtue of intention. How is that possible? Answer: we have discovered that when people over 200 observe something from lovingness, they are already raising its calibrated level of consciousness measurably. For example, when we consider something or someone adorable, the calibration that was set at 204 will jump to 310 or so. Do you see what this means? You don't need to go out and do fancy things. Just witness the sacredness of all existence. Approach all life with reverence and goodwill. And by doing so, you are changing the world by virtue of Heisenberg's principle, which states that the observation of something changes it. I don't know if the kitty's purr was at 500 before we contemplated it, but it is now. The higher the level of consciousness of the observation, the greater the impact on the observed. We have literally been changing the calibrated levels of consciousness and much of society by sheer observation of the work that we're doing collectively. Everything we look at lovingly raises its calibration, even the Komodo dragon. He's just being what he is, a very good Komodo dragon who can kill with precision and eat you up with a single bite. That's impressive, and we see the lovability of the Komodo dragon as an expression of divinity within the unfoldment of creation, in which everything serves the ultimate. The world is becoming that which we hold in mind, and if it is lovingly intended, then it is very powerful. Look at all the power you walk around with and didn't know it. Everything we look at, if we love it and forgive it for being what it is, if we witness the sacredness of it, if we see it as an expression of evolution and that it serves some ultimate purpose, then our observation influences it. Watching crocodiles on the Nature Channel is illuminating. If you want to learn a lot about spirituality, just watch the Nature Channel, because in nature you see a world without any prejudices. There's the hippopotamus and the crocodile on the beach, and the hippopotamus has a sort of motherly instinct towards crocodiles. I mean, who could love a crocodile but a hippopotamus? Everybody is afraid of the crocodile except the hippopotamus. The hippo kills more people per year than most animals, but even the hippo has a capacity to care about the crocodile. The hippo goes over and nudges the crocodile and even licks him, making sure the crocodile is comfortable. How could a hippo have a maternal instinct toward a crocodile? They have apparently made friends over the millennia. The crocodile is twitching, and the hippo pushes the crocodile over until the crocodile is happy. Imagine licking a crocodile. Now there's some love and acceptance. We should be more like the hippopotamus than nurturing toward everything that the world looks down upon as homo horribilis. Some of the calibrations we did in 2004 for truth versus falsehoods changed merely as the consequence of our having collaborated them. Do you see how consciousness is evolving simply by our being aware that it is evolving? The desire to know the truth tends to pull the truth to us. The higher your level of consciousness, the greater your lovingness, and thus the greater impact of your observation and intention. Thus, my journey into exploring my goats and knowing more about my goats and loving my goats, and therefore by simply observing them, by being more present in their presence when I'm with them, I would like to see if I can measurably tell a difference in their consciousness by raising it, that is. Welcome to the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Oracle card session today at Zinnia's Way, where I will be shuffling this deck of cards and pulling from it one oracle card that will give us a little bit of inspiration and knowledge about what could be useful to us on our spiritual journey as we are heading towards ascension, what we can learn from the animal kingdom, as I pull one of the cards from this deck, and then I'll read to you about that card and let you know what it has to say. So let's take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And let's just take a few moments here to breathe. Inhaling and exhaling as I shuffle the cards and see what comes out for today. And I had one come out, and our card for today is Fire Ant. Yes. Well, we have those here in North Carolina for sure. So let's see what the fire ant, what message the fire ant has for us today. And it's going to be in the animal. Here we go. The fire ant. Aggression, rigid thinking, following orders. Fire ant energy flares up without us noticing. It's the force that attracts us to people and situations that feed our imbalances rather than those that counter them. Gossiping and blaming are a few indicators that misaligned fire ant energy is at play. You may also find yourself stewing on a person or situation, only making things worse. How can you break free from the drama and cool down? Fire ants are surprisingly sensitive. Don't pretend that the heat isn't getting to you. So, we can think about how that could apply to our lives. There is a lot going on in the world right now, and it can be causing a lot of division if you let it. And maybe we're wanting to fall into the temptation of talking bad about other people, that gossiping, or even just really stewing over these world situations, which could be very important situations, but as a soul, as a spiritual being, what can we do differently to help the world? Well, we can try to raise our consciousness. We can try to raise our energy. And the fire ant can even give us some helpful tips on how to do that. So instead of feeling misaligned, becoming aware of that, where we do feel misaligned in our daily lives. If we feel tied to something and embedded in something that we need to break free from, how can we get the courage, how can we get the strength to just break free from that and then move on to explore these higher, more loving, more peaceful levels of existence? So when in balance, the fire ant is thoughtful and disciplined. So let's think about how we can be thoughtful and disciplined in our daily lives. And how we can bring this into balance is finding some solo time and taking time to go within and maybe meditate or just breathe deeply and finding a sense of calm and helping our nervous system to just relax, maybe do some stretching, some yoga. And also another way, a nice way of doing this is taking a walk, whether it's in the daytime or specifically in the evening time when it's cooler and the sounds of nature come into play, and it just becomes a relaxing, beautiful, enjoyable hour of the day. So say thank you to the fire ant for its inspiration, and I hope you found this helpful. I hope that you can use a tidbit of this message today to inspire you, and again, take some encouragement to go out and inspire someone else, because that's where we are all in this together. And I'm sending you much love from Zinnia's Way today. Have a wonderful afternoon and rest of your day. Namaste.